what you want to see in the oil after you've just done an oil change.
Welcome back to 0 to 60. Today we're back on my salvage Supercharged M5 and we're going to actually have a little bit of a closer look at it. If you've been watching the channel recently, particularly the video that went up this morning, then you will know that Andrew's N54 isn't as healthy as it should be. Which got me thinking just a little bit more concerned about this S62. The reason for that is, you may have seen the video I did of the oil change on this car, which was the first time I changed the oil since I've owned the car, so it was a little bit of a look inside the engine to see how healthy it was. Now initially I had it up on the hap and I drained the oil, and the oil that came out of it looked pretty clean. So I was pretty happy with it at the time, and I sort of, well, as you would have seen, we did the video and everything, and because the kilometers are so high on this car, plus it's had the supercharger for quite a few kilometers now, I asked you guys what you thought about just doing the rod bearings as preventative maintenance, because there isn't any proof that they have been done before. By far the majority of people said yes, just do them, so I did order some and they are on their way. They probably would have been here by now if it wasn't for all the delays with freight that we're having recently. So they're on the way, and I thought I was sort of ahead of the game, on top of everything, and I'm going to have a wicked S62 all good to go. However, after I finished that video, I poured from the oil drain pan, I poured the oil out of that into the empty 5-litre oil container that I had just put into the engine. So that I filled that to the brim, so it was just over 5 litres, and that just left a little tiny bit of oil in the drain pan at the bottom. It was dark at that point in time, it was dark outside like it is now, so as I didn't have anywhere to put that oil, I just left it in the bottom of the drain pan. And then a couple of weeks after that, Andrew went to change his oil on his 335 and noticed that there was a little bit of glitter. He was doing it during the day, and he noticed that there was some glitter in the bottom of the drain pan. As soon as he saw that, he freaked out. He wasn't sure where it was from, so he actually got a video clip for us. So I'll put that up now so you can see sort of what we're talking about.
Uh-oh. That's not what you want to see in your oil. Golden flakes.
So as you can see, it was a decent amount of metal shavings in there. Not what you want to see from any of our cars, really. Oh, I couldn't believe I just completely missed it. So I went straight over to my oil filter. I hadn't thrown that away yet. And I basically just cut it straight in half and sieved through some of the folds. And there was more metal in the oil filter. I'll grab that out now, actually. Actually, I wouldn't mind properly cutting it out as a flat piece of paper and going through properly, so I'll do that on camera so you can see sort of what's inside. But basically now I'm scared because if well, even like what's happened to Andrew's N54, if that happens to this, you can't just go and buy another shell for a few $1,000s and have a spare engine and gearbox. These things are at the point now where if you need to replace an engine or even a component, like a serious component of an engine, it's a very expensive job. I really just want to avoid going down that route. So basically, again, I know there are a few M5 owners that do watch this, and definitely a few guys that are way more savvy with these engines and the BMW engines in general than I am. So I would like to know what else we could do to check, because don't forget the rod bearings are coming. The rod bearings will be going in regardless, and it could just be bearing material and everything will be fine. However, again, with what's happened to Andrew's engine, I would just like to sort of double check as much as we can. Like, is it worth doing a compression test before doing the rod bearings? Because don't forget, this is still booked in with the panel beaters and will be going there, well, basically as soon as they're ready for it. So yeah, I'm wondering what else I should check, what else I should try and find. The source of the metal, the source of the problem. Obviously, there's a very good chance that it's just the rod bearing material, which they'll be getting done, but I don't know, like, could it be from the timing chains or one of the gears or from a cam or a bore? I don't know. So if you have any insight into that, that would be very much appreciated. One thing that did happen that I thought was pretty cool, as soon as I found the extra metal, I started talking to my tuner, HTE Performance, and I told him what's happened, because obviously this could, well, it could affect the engine, but it could affect if I'm going to still require him in the future. So I basically just filled him with what's happened, what I've discovered, but he recommended putting almost like a limp mode tune on with like a 2500 RPM rev limiter, just so that I can't be an absolute buffoon and do any more damage to this engine. But I thought that was a pretty cool idea, so I said yes. Within half an hour, he had had this safe tune set up. Oh, I've got to show you because it's so cool. It literally has a 20, it just drives completely normal. It just has a rev limiter at 2,500 RPM, which I think is pretty cool. And whilst it is warming up, I'll get the oil filter and I'll cut that open so we can have a closer inspection of that. Okay, so before, when I was checking it out, there was like a particular side of the filter where, when I was just going through it when it was still connected, where you got to it and, well, there's a big speck. Can you see that one there? It's quite a large flake, quite a large silver flake. There was a side somewhere where that's where most of the ridges, nearly every ridge you came to, there was metal in there. And then the other side of the filter was, it was just this black, sort of this black dirt, gunk, whatever it is. So you can see there's another speck there at the bottom. There is an awful lot of this dirt as well. I don't know if it's just carbon or if it's old oil or what, but it is deceiving because when I drained the oil, I thought it was just so, I thought it was really clean. There's a few specks across those 3 fans. Another one in there. Quite a large flake of something. Okay, so that half wasn't too bad. Now I want to rip this half open and I'll check it as well. Okay, so in that fold, I don't know if the GoPro is picking it up, but so in that fold there and that fold there, there's probably 5 specks in each. There's some bigger ones. In fact, see that piece there? That is huge. So can you see 1, 2, 3, 4? That piece at the bottom, that flake there. The size of that. Some dirty oil came out with that one. Well, there you go. That's yeah, it's not what I wanted to see, and it's not what I was expecting. I was just so, when I started draining that oil, which it, to be fair, thinking back, it could have just been, I've never drained used liquid moly before, and I think maybe that just somehow manages to sort of keep its color a little bit, even after it's a little bit older. But when it was dropping out, I thought, sweet, that's awesome. It wasn't until later that I actually had a closer look and then saw how much dirt was in there. If you haven't already noticed, I decided not to run the M5. Rather than starting it unnecessarily, I do have, I think, a little clip on my phone of when HTE first installed that tune. So I'll pop that up now so you can see what it sounds like. Oh, technology's amazing. That's it, just like that, it's getting a new flash. So now sort of my big concern is when the rod bearings get here, I want to do them. I may even, if they get here soon, I'll do them before it goes to the panel shop, just so I can actually have a look inside the engine and see what the crank's like. But that's what I'm sort of worried about. Now I'm concerned with all that metal. Is the crank going to be okay, or is it going to be salvageable? Because I've already bought the standard size rod bearings. So yeah, it's a bit of an unknown at the moment. So as I said before, if any of you guys can give us any hints of things to specifically check on these S62s of when you start seeing debris in your oil, then I'll try and get onto that sooner rather than later so we can sort of see, yeah, how healthy this engine is. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.